Okay, so we gonna just put it in the bud like this. Elijah was the very first jarhead. If you don't know what a jarhead is, a jarhead was a term for people in the military that had been programmed back in the day who fought wars. You can look it up. I'm not getting into it. Gotta keep my video short. Look, he was programmed, and it was Esther's fault because he tweaked the fuck out during his first unaliving because, you know, he was the one that turned Catherine. And he that was all behind that little door. He had been courting her and things like that. That was the link. And that's what went into Vampire Diaries and stuff like that. And that's how they combined, because the originals was such a good spinoff. People forget you can watch it on its own without Vampire Diaries. We're not gonna get too much into Vampire Diaries because that's my shit too. This is the link. He had to put it behind the door because he literally tweaked the fuck out. And this was the only way Esther could bring him back to reality, because Esther was a witch. And she was like kind of scared of her children, because you got to think, in the beginning, she made her children like this. So she was trying to put them under lock and key. And that was the only way she could do it. She did her witchiness and she turned them into a foot soldier. And that actually benefited Klaus for a very long time. But in his Delulu, he was trying to redeem Klaus. The whole time Klaus was redeeming him. He did a lot of fucked up shit. But Klaus was getting the shit done that needed to be. And Elijah knew that. That's why Elijah was sitting back rolling with his brother. But where Elijah got me so fucked up at is, Haley, your brother wasn't even supposed to have kids. And the first bitch he had kids with, you sliding on. And I think this goes back to that one scene when he was going to fuck off on Klaus about changing Haley into that wolf. And he was like, she was supposed to be our hope. And da-da-da-da. And I think that's what his whole attraction was to Haley. Because for a long time, Elijah was just getting shit done because he thought like their family was just going to be them. Their family was never going to grow. And then Haley came through and was able to bore a child for Klaus. And that was the whole attraction. She was able to produce more to the Michelson line. And he found that attractive. You get what I'm saying? And I think that was the whole attraction. But even still, bruh, you went against your brother for a bitch. And not just any bitch, his baby mama. Like, that shit was wild as fuck to me. And on top of that, he had to turn her into that wolf. He had to turn her into that wolf because Dahlia was going to unalive her. Because Haley wasn't just going to give up her child. Not for 5 minutes, not for a minute or anything. She had to. He had to. But regardless of the fact, like, Klaus redeemed all of them. Look what he did to Cole. Look what he did to Finn. Even in the end, Finn got it. Like, all of them. He eventually got them all together, and they all came together, and they got that always and forever. That was Klaus who did that. It's so deep to, in the end, Elijah couldn't even see his life without Klaus. And I think Klaus was up there thinking, like, you know, I'm going to just let him think this because he needs this. Because he knew his brother was fucked off. Especially when they started going into his mind and they found out about that little red door, bro. Like, he just thought, like, he was so well put together because in a lot of ways, Klaus looked up to Elijah because, you know, that was his older brother. Because he was so well put together, but then he found out, like, he wasn't that well put together. He just had a lot of shit buried. Elijah had PTSD, and them episodes was whole crash outs. I'm going to end it with that.